Well, hello. It is Kirsten Liebelt. Welcome in, you guys. How are you doing tonight? It's always so good to jump on. So tonight I was titling my video, and I just thought that I would be super plain in saying just why I really believe 100% why I don't ache at 59, and it's a really big deal. I talk to people a lot about food and stuff like that. And so tonight gives me just a little tiny chance to kind of get into it a little bit. Welcome in, you guys. Good to see you. So if you don't know who I am at all, like you just never seen me before, my name is Kirsten Liebelt. And I basically began to turn around my own insulin resistance in my 40s. I really needed to do that. My dad had died of type 2 diabetes when he was 63. And so it's, to me, it's like such a big deal because it gave me a different chance at life. Hold on, my husband's checking my levels. You not hearing me? Let me know if you're hearing me on Facebook. Oh, on Instagram. Okay, I'll take out my my AirPod on Instagram and see if that's okay. Can you hear me on Instagram? Let's just double check. If you can hear me, life is really good. So we'll see here. You can hear me? Okay. Hold on, Facebook. Yes. Okay, you can, Marianne. Thank you, Marianne. Thank you. Okay. Sometimes AirPods are weird. So anyway, so in turning around my insulin resistance, I didn't understand at the time. I knew nothing. Like I just knew nothing. I didn't know anything about yay, Sue. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So I didn't know anything about like supplementation. I didn't know anything about eating well. I didn't know anything. I mean, and it's weird because when I was raising my kids, like I remember my girlfriend and I, we had the book Prescription for Nutritional Healing. Like we used that a lot, but I just feel like there were just gaps that I don't know, that I wasn't paying attention to for sure for myself. I don't know why, but I just didn't. So anyway, having said that, so what happens then is um, because this is all a progression of kind of how things began to change in how my actual body was feeling. So when I was working in my 40s, the line that I work with has a joint supplement that is phenomenal. Like it's amazing. Okay, that's great. And I was taking it all the time. I was super religious about taking it. But it got to the point in my 50s, which usually it doesn't work this way, right? I didn't need it anymore. I didn't need it anymore. And I just feel like that's progressing forward. Like we're going forward in life if that's what we're doing. So this is kind of how this went. So number one, if you have a lot of high insulin or high sugars in your body, you have a lot of high inflammation, right? So we talk about that all the time. Talk about it in the Facebook group. I talk about it on my lives about how when your cell is saying no more to insulin, getting that glucose into your cell, your insulin then just takes and stores the glucose as fat. That's number one. That's frustrating. But the harder part is that your pancreas thinks, I just need to produce more insulin. And more insulin creates more inflammation. So there's a component there that's very like you want that insulin to come down, yes, so that you can lose weight, but also too so that you can get your inflammation to come down because right, what makes you ache, right? Okay, so on top of that, then what happened was in my 50s, as I decided to really begin to, the only reason why I started with targeted supplementation, and I always tell the story, is because I didn't think I could trade out my foods. I'm Italian. So I thought that, you know what, that's just probably not going to happen. So instead, I'll just figure out supplementation. Okay. So anyway, I'm not recommending my thought processes to anybody. I'm not saying that like wisdom was all over me. I'm just telling you my story. Okay. No judging here. No judging. Okay. So anyway, so I use supplementation. It totally works. And that's great. And then eventually I do begin to want to trade out my foods for a lot of different reasons. One of them was because like, oh, well, girls, okay. Only girls are on here, right? Only girls. If you're a guy, just need to jump off. No, I'm just kidding. But post cycle, it seemed like, what's happening? Like, hello, fat pockets showing up in places you don't want them to show up. And you're just like, oh, dear Lord, it gets worse. Are you telling me it gets worse? So anyway, so I start to trade out my foods. But when I traded out my foods and I began that journey, which I talk a lot about in different realms, and I'm not going to go in that tonight, but in the Facebook group, I probably talk about it a little bit more about kind of like really, having a personal journey that is self-assessing without shame. That's another conversation for another time. But as I'm going through this journey and I'm changing out my ingredients and my recipes, I am not aching anymore. And the reason why I'm not aching anymore, and I literally don't, like, I'm telling you the God's honest truth. I'm 59 years old. Doesn't mean I don't sit weird and get stiff and, all the, sleep wrong and need a chiropractor. I go to the chiropractor every 2 weeks. That's, like just structural maintenance. But when I wake up in the morning and my feet hit the ground, I don't ache. And when I need to get down onto the ground to be with my grandbabies, I don't ache. And when I get up, I don't ache. I mean, I'm just telling you. But I am convinced that it is 100% because I eat grain-free and I eat sugar-free. And I know that freaks people out. I know the controversy. I mean, the food conversations online are loud. They are loud. People freak out about stuff. But the truth is that because, we're just so ingrained, I crack myself up. We're so ingrained to believe that we have to have 9 to 11 servings of grain every single day because that was the food pyramid that was in our school when we were growing up. Right? I mean, honestly, like, tell me in the comments if you've already given up grain, and tell me in the comments if you haven't, and tell me the one food that keeps you from doing it. Like, I would love to know what is keeping people the most from making that transition, because most of the time when I'm talking to people, we're talking through the lens of insulin resistance. So everything is through that lens. And grains are obviously very high on the glycemic index as far as how they're going to like spike your sugar. So it's almost like in fact, I'm going to do a reel. Oh, this is really going to light some fires. Because I did a duet with somebody who was testing his blood sugar with sourdough bread. And listen, you can eat sourdough bread. That's totally fine. I just have chosen grain-free, right? So I make egg white bread. I have that video on my website, you guys. You can go look at it. He does it, but he does it with store-bought bread and his sugars go up. And everybody's like, that wasn't real sourdough. That wasn't a real test. Bakeries they use sourdough flavoring and whatever, and all of these things. I mean, people were really freaking out. Hold on. And so now I just found another one tonight, and it was a real authentic from a starter. And I'm like, oh, people aren't going to be happy with me. But again, remember, I'm talking about having made changes through the lens of insulin resistance, because if you can't get your sugars or your insulin to come down, you're stuck because you can't lose that weight. And so that's why when, in fact, I didn't come live on Friday. And so I'm going to do it tonight. I'll give you a couple of testimonies from the trio. I do that once a week. The trio are the 3 supplements that have the 3 ingredients that help with insulin sensitivity. And so I'll give you those testimonies every week. I have new testimonies of people losing weight. And it's because they're using that thought process of, okay, insulin is a hormone. And if my insulin is high, I can't lose weight. So I need to get my insulin down and my sugars down, and then my body releases weight. Okay. Anyway, so being grain-free and sugar-free actually hasn't been as hard as I thought it was going to be. And at first, when I realized that, I was like, I don't think people are going to believe me. And so I kind of like didn't say a whole lot, but that's really like the truth is that. So Maria Emmerich, tell me if you know who Maria Emmerich is. And if you do, tell me what her favorite cookbook is of yours. I would love to know what her favorite cookbook is of yours. So I found her along my journey. My journey has like all these little things that God would add in as I'm going and I'm learning stuff. And she was one of them. And she is, she teaches, obviously, she's a keto educator, and keto is grain free. I know that everybody thinks that keto is not grain free, but because you can go to Aldi's and buy keto bread. That's not helping you. If you are insulin resistant, you can't live over in make believe marketing land of keto. You can't do that if you are insulin resistant. If you're not insulin resistant and you're just messing around, that's fine. But the reason why you have to be educated about stuff is because, so you have to understand, I am not type 2 diabetic. My dad died of type 2 diabetes. There's a lot of type 2 diabetes in my family. I avoided type 2 diabetes. So I don't have to be technically as careful as I am because I never crossed over. And so sometimes people are really in the weeds with their insulin resistance, right? My dad got way in the weeds, right? His weeds were heart surgeries and heart procedures and kidney dialysis. And then he died at 63 with a lazy Susan full of medication. And so, so when you're making sure that your blood sugars aren't wonky for some pretty serious reasons, you need to know what spikes your blood sugars. You need to know what, you can't play in marketing land anymore. And they will market to you until the cows come home so that they can make money. I mean, that's just how this goes. You guys, did you hear? Tell me if you guys heard the and then I'll tell you the testimonies. Did you guys hear about the CEO of Kellogg's this week? Tell me if you guys heard this about his announcement that I don't know if I have the number correct. So I always hate doing this because I want to make sure my numbers are correct. But I think it was something like because they were raising prices or their prices had gone up 28%, that they were telling people to, in order to save money, to eat cereal for dinner. Did you guys hear this? Did you guys hear about this? And it created such a ruckus online, such a ruckus, because that's really bad advice. It's really bad advice. So as we're here talking about grains, and grains, obviously, and most of the grains are going to be that they're going to be using, they're going to be topped with sugar. It's almost an automatic. Good grief is right, Mary. I mean, it's serious. Seriously, this was a quote. This was he was on TV telling this or on an interview or whatever. And so let's just pretend. Let's just sue. I know, my goodness. Let's just pretend we're talking about the cereals without any sugar. We're talking about Cheerios and Rice Krispies and, I'm trying to think of what else because I don't eat cereal. Wheaties. I don't even know if that's made anymore. Let's just pretend it's still grain and it's still going to spike your sugars considerably. And that literally, there's no nutritional value in that at all to be giving your kids. But anyway, and so we don't want insulin resistance at a younger age. We don't want that. We don't want to do that to our kids. I mean, eating cereal, you guys, let's just face it. It's like eating dessert. It's straight dessert is what it is because it doesn't have any. And then the other piece of this puzzle, you guys, I'm getting on a tangent. I'm taking you on a tangent. The other side note to this is that all of these, so if a child has, they all have added sugar. Janet, you're right. You're right. But I meant as opposed to Frosted Flakes, where they just or what are those sugar? Oh, those little honey, I don't remember. But anyway, but the ones that are really obvious. But if a child has and I know this much about this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I know no nutritional value. I'm going to say this anyway. If a child has the MTHFR gene, I don't know anything about that. This is Gary Brecka, by the way, Dr. Gary Brecka. Sugar pops. That's it, Cindy. You're right. Sugar pops. That's it. I knew somebody would know. If they have that gene, then they cannot methylate folic acid. So folic acid is added into everything. It's added into all the cereals. It's added into all of the bagels and breads and all of these processed grain-based foods that we eat as a normal American family. And so what happens is when they can't methylate it, he says that then they're fed cereal in the morning or for dinner. And then they go to school and they're bouncing off the walls because their body is not able to methylate the folic acid, which is enriched. We've enriched our cereal. And sugar smacks. That's another name, Janet. Good job. Oh, yeah. Cornflakes. Yeah, I know. You guys are so funny. But then they're bouncing off the walls. And then guess what? Then they get labeled and then they get sometimes medicated. And so that's kind of the cycle that we go into. Cereal has no value, only carbs and sugar. Of course, they fortify with other stuff. Yep. Which causes more problems. Yep. That's exactly what we're dealing with. And so that's why. So I didn't even know any of this. I was not being like a poster child of, I'm just going to become this person who, I had no need to identify with a diet. I had no need to identify with a lifestyle. I had no need to identify with anything. I just started this journey because of my history. And then things kept working. And then I realized, oh, this is a way, if I can start really cutting out a lot of the grains and sugars out of my life and find those alternatives, oh, I could get even better results. And then all of a sudden I realized I don't ache. Yeah, GMO flakes, right? Oh, it's so bad, Sue. I don't ache. And so Sunday, I'm at Costco with my daughter, and my daughter is she's due with her third baby the last Sunday of March. So we're really excited about that. And we were at Costco and she needed to sit down. Now, all of a sudden she gets flushed and lightheaded and dizzy. And that's really, she's never had any of that. So we were like, oh, so we check out and she's like, I gotta sit down. So she sat on the floor. I said, sit down right here. Just sit down. Like, don't find a chair, sit down. We're at a checkout. And so she literally crouches by the end of a checkout. And it was by a checkout where nobody was. And eventually I said, just sit on your butt. And that's a good question. Was she dehydrated? I did immediately get her a bottle of water, and I was picking up some of the sugar-free electrolytes at Costco. And so I did hydrate her right away. So we don't really know yet. A cold culture sourdough organic bread. Yes. Have I heard of Eat Right for Your Blood Type? I have not. So we crouched down and we're on the floor in Costco and we're by the cart, whatever. And she's texting with her midwife. And it dawns on me that, you know what? Like, yeah, glyphosate. I know that's a whole nother. I had that conversation with my son today in Costco. He's 29. And I realized that I'm on the floor in Costco and I don't ache. And I'm with my daughter who needs me in this moment. So these are the things that drive me. So when people are like, so in my whole life, kind of, there have been these food bullies. They didn't mean to, but it's cultural. Come on, manja, eat. Come on. What's wrong with you? Why aren't you eating? Right? So this was my culture. And when you then try to say politely, I just, I'm trying to like, God forbid you say you're trying to lose weight. Like, well, I'm trying to lose weight. Oh, and then everybody's got an opinion about that. I mean, honestly, like the noise, it's noisy. So then, I just kind of decided that I didn't care about that anymore and that I was going to find a way to just take care of me, because I could see in my mind's eye what I wanted for when my grandbabies did come. So this started before my daughter was even pregnant with her first. And I'm just like, I mean, I didn't see myself on the floor at Costco, but I did see myself feeling better and having energy and not having a lazy Susan full of meds like my dad did. And so now that I understand the connection, like I had even looked up, cutting grains from your diet may alleviate aches and pains for several reasons. Reducing inflammation because there are fewer food sensitivities, improved digestion, balanced blood sugar levels. And, I know all of that stuff now, but I didn't know that before. I didn't know any of that. And now you just can't convince me to go back because I don't want to feel like that anymore. And how I feel and how I function is more important than anything. So I come to you and tell you all of this because I know that one of the biggest things, the hardest things for everybody to give up is bread and any kind of grain. It's very, you just assume that then you will be unsatisfied for the rest of your life because it has been such I am gluten-free because I'm grain-free. So it's an automatic. But I mean, how do I say that? That's not true because gluten is in a lot of stuff. I would say then I'm pretty dang close to gluten-free in the sense that, like, for instance, let's pretend that I had soy sauce at a restaurant for some reason, although I don't eat sushi anymore. I mean, I could eat tamari. It doesn't matter, not tamari, but sashimi. But let's just pretend I did. Let's say I had some fish and I had some soy sauce and it had gluten in it. Then I'm not gluten intolerant. I'm not like that won't freak me out, right? But gluten is in a lot of stuff that people do not understand that gluten is in. I did that reel, you guys, the other night about the McDonald's French fries, and they said that in order to get that beef tallow flavoring that they used, because they used to cook them in beef tallow before they switched to seed oils, and they're really bad. They're hydrogenated, but they use a coating on the potatoes that are milk and wheat the milk and wheat is a part of a natural flavoring that they have created to put on the potatoes to give them more of the beef tallow flavor that they used to have that everybody loved. But then we were told that animal products weren't good anymore and that we should be using industrialized seed oils because that was very much more profitable, etc. Anyway, so they demonized animal fats. But anyway, so there's even wheat on your McDonald's French fries. So it's everywhere. Gluten is everywhere, just to kind of answer that question. So what's for breakfast? Serious question. I eat eggs almost every single day because eggs are easy. So I do a lot of eggs. These are the foods that I focus on, and then I make things out of them. So I focus on meat, eggs. If I'm going to have vegetables, I'm going to eat green because then it's not going to be blood sugar spiking. Green for the most part. Like, I know cauliflower is white. I get it. But you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just an easy way to have a conversation. If I'm going to eat fruits, they're going to be berries. And then I will do full fat dairy, like, Greek yogurt. However, people need to know that dairy can, although yogurt maybe not as much, but dairy can slow down your weight loss. And then nuts and seeds as I go. But I will overeat on nuts and then I will stall my weight loss. And I'm still on my journey just like you are. So I have to tone back the almond flour and I have to tone back. So what I'll do then is I will use eggs to make, I'll make an egg white protein bread. And if you want to see that, you can go to my website, KirstenLiebelt.com, my first last name.com. And if you scroll down, there's a video, it's like a tutorial on how to make the egg white protein powder bread. So it's bread that is made out of egg whites, but like it's grain free, I guess is my point. So like right now I have a loaf in my fridge here that is, I used an orange extract and then I layered it because it's egg white. So you're making it fluffy. I layered it with like swerve brown sugar and cinnamon. So I can take that, slice it, put a couple slices in my air fryer and get them brown. And this is going to be high protein and I'll put butter on it. And then I could have eggs with that. I could have sausage or bacon or trying to think of what else I do for breakfast. I'm not super creative. You could make like, even how you go to Starbucks and you could buy those egg bites that are like Gruyere. Oh, I never know how to say that. Gruyere cheese and like little bacon bits or whatever. So it's just an egg, like you could make a muffin tin full of egg bites and keep those in your fridge with some cheese and eggs. You could do something like that. You could make an egg bake. You could take equal ounces of eggs and cream cheese So if you had an 8-ounce block of cream cheese, you would take 8 eggs and mix it all into a blender and whip it up, and you can fry that, and that makes like crepe like food, like a crepe like substance of sorts. It's my balloons on Instagram. And trying to think of what else you could do. I'm pretty boring. I don't mean to be boring, but my life just requires a nice streamlined universe. Obviously, you can do omelets. What else? Because I know there are some people that really don't like to do eggs a lot, but then there are some people who literally will eat ground beef, and it's just a mind switch, right? There's a mind switch of we're so indoctrinated into what we should eat for breakfast. So I hope that gives you some ideas anyway. I would have to probably think more on it if I needed to get super creative with that. The other thing too is that I just made, I took egg yolks and made a custard. It's off of a Maria Emmerich recipe. Made a custard like in the oven in little ramekins. And when you use egg yolks with different types of whatever, like I used a mixture of like coconut milk out of a can and a little bit of cream and whatever, and made a custard, and they're amazing. And you could eat something like that on the go too for breakfast. You're eating straight egg yolks, and we've been really lied to and marketed to. And there are so many amazing nutrients in the foods that God already gave us that were not processed. And we've just processed everything, and it's just an issue. And then we've used so many chemicals that's not good. All right, so I'm going to just tell you a couple of the testimonies on the trio. And then I also want to just give you a tiny bit of, if you feel like you are really battling brain fog and fatigue for any reason. I did a live on this in my Facebook group yesterday, and a lot of people are reaching out to me and talking to me about it because well, apparently there's a lot of brain fog and fatigue going on. And so I'll give you a recommendation for that. But here are the testimonies for this week. I have 3 of them. Okay. I love this so much. So what are my dates? The 26th, the 27th, and the 29th. Okay. So on the 26th, so this is from Friday, the 23rd. So we're going back 10 days, because I didn't show up on Friday because something came up. Okay. So on the 26th, I got this. I asked her how she was feeling, and she said, "Good morning." And this is about the trio, you guys. The trio are the 3 supplements with the 3 ingredients that help with insulin sensitivity. Those are what we are using to help people with insulin sensitivity in their bodies, and then they can lose weight. Not everybody has a weight loss testimony right away, but these are some of the more forward ones. So, good morning, Kirsten. I'm feeling better overall. I am less. Oh, this is so good. I'm less tormented by food. Do you feel tormented by food? That is like, I've received this kind of a response many, many times where it just calms your brain about food. And I just, you know what? It's because you're just bringing things down. You're simmering down what's happening. I'm less tormented by food. I have a long journey, but if I can make progress, I'll hang in there. Thanks for checking in. Love that. That was on the 26th of February. On the 27th of February, I feel great. 10 pounds down, and my energy is amazing. And she says, part of that is that I gave up sugar for 2024. So she gives up sugar on January 1st. And then halfway into January, she started the trio, and she's down 10 pounds. I'm excited for her. And that was on the 27th. And then on the 29th, hi, Kirsten, I am doing just wonderful. I've been on the trio for about a month now. I do believe that it's helped my A1C go down. I have no sugar cravings. Oh, I want people to hear that, because we think that we're just going to go crazy. We think that we're going to go into like a heroin reaction or something when we quit sugar. Part of it's because we've been told that it's that bad. And then we believe that it's going to be that bad. And what we believe, we just bring forth. But what if you could have something that would help you naturally? Oh, I love this so much. I have no sugar cravings, and I do not snack at all. I eat 3 meals a day, all compliant with way of eating, meaning she's probably keto. And I said, I'm so excited that it's working. I've tried everything. I'm so excited that it's working. I've tried everything else before starting this way of eating in the trio. And I'm working out quite a bit as well. So then let's just transition then, because the fact is that a lot of times the reason why we have a hard time trading out ingredients, or the reason why we have a hard time trading out, or taking the time to find a new recipe, taking the time to, you know, um, like to get our brains to calm down so that we can at least even think about food, because we're just like responding to cravings, we're responding to the triggers of the day, right? And so I love, that's why I get excited when people tell me that it calms their mind, or that it helps them to like stop that torment, because then you can and take a deep breath. But the other thing too that I've been talking to women about, and I used to talk about it a lot, and I haven't done a lot of it on live anymore. I do it mostly behind the scenes. But insulin is a hormone, but there are a lot of other hormones that are affected when we, hit perimenopause, and then go into menopause. And so sometimes I know that as women, we really feel like, okay, this brain fog, like I don't even know who I am anymore. And then maybe we have these thoughts that this is just a part of aging. Maybe this is just a part of, like this is just the way it's going to be. Like there's nothing you can really do about it. And I feel like most of the time, by the time I talk to women, they have felt very unheard. They don't know really quite what to do. And again, I'm not a doctor. I'm just a girlfriend. I'm just a girlfriend sharing the supplementations that I used to get through my journey, to help other women get through their journey. And so at the same time that was working on my sugars, I started working on my hormones unknowingly. I did it because I started taking adaptogenic herbs because I had such bad brain fog. But I didn't do it because I thought, oh, I'm just this, like I know things, and like I just knew nothing. And, I didn't have any foresight that this was even going to help with my hormones at all. But helping me with my brain fog made me, oh, Kathy, I see you. I know I'm not going to go back on that conversation, but I see and I'm sorry. And I understand, I hear you. So I didn't have foresight to know that the adaptogenic herbs were going to help with that. I just appreciated in the moment, the mental clarity and the ability to multitask again, because I was in a job that required a high level of multitasking. And so that's what I started with back in my 40s. I'm 59 now, and I still take exactly what I'm going to talk to you about right now. I still take it to this day, and I talk to other women about it. What adaptogenic herbs do is they come along and they help to support your adrenals. And I was told by a friend a long, long time ago, Jacqueline, I know we do need each other. We just need to not believe that we're crazy. We really do. But she told me, she said, Kirsten, you will go through menopause the way that you take care of your adrenals. Now, of course, my first question was, what's an adrenal? Like I didn't even know. Your adrenals sit on top of your kidneys, and they regulate your hormones. And when your ovaries are done, your adrenals take over. So you want to be like, I love my adrenals. That's what you really want to be doing. But we're not taught this stuff. We don't know this stuff. And anyway, so on my website, there's a button for women and gut health, menopause and gut health. And there's a purple packet. And that is what I had started working with back in my 40s. And it might be something that you are interested in. If not, no big deal, like seriously. But if you're looking for I want to give you this information before I let you go. If you're looking for just some intermittent help with energy and some mental clarity, like take it like whenever you just feel like you need a little extra something because your life isn't that whatever, that's perfect. You should absolutely do that, because you will notice how you'll just kind of go like your mind just brightens. That's what happens with that. And there's 3 supplements inside of this one little packet. And one of the reasons the adaptogenic herbs are amazing, but then you also get all of your 8B vitamins time released. And what's so beautiful about that is that they are, because they're time released. And a lot of women do not know that if you are deficient in certain B vitamins, you could be dealing with sadness and anxiety. So the second piece of that conversation is, if you're looking for help for like maybe a more like you need to go a little deeper than just occasional brain fog or whatever, I do recommend think in terms of taking one in the morning and one after lunch. And if you only want to do that, like if you're like, you know, I only need to do this when I'm at work, 5 days a week, perfect. Do it 5 days a week. Take the weekends off if you want to, but you're still going to get into a nice little system of twice a day. And then you only need 2 boxes for the month. But if you're like, I am so in over my head and I don't know who I am anymore, consider doing it twice a day, every day, and then get 3 boxes for the month. And you know what? The products have a 6-month guarantee. Don't worry about not being able to, deal with that on the back end. Give yourself a chance to see if something could shift for you, something could change. Like that's the beauty of being able to work with somebody like myself, where I can literally be your touch point. If you have a question or if you're not sure, right? Like my number's on my website, text me. I'm just saying. But anyway, I wanted to bring that up because I did, like I went live yesterday and it just created like a conversation that, with some people in the group, and then people have been reaching out to me outside of the group. So you were talking on that live yesterday about that purple packet. And I'm wondering if that's for me too. And because maybe we don't say all the things that we want to say, or we don't say all the things that we're feeling about maybe not having a lot of confidence, or we feel very vulnerable because like we don't want people to know that we can't multitask. We don't want people to know. And then maybe there's a little thing in the back of our head that goes, I wonder if this is like connected to dementia. And I mean, we start going down these roads. Let's not do that. Let's not do that because it doesn't have to be that. That doesn't have to be how, it doesn't mean it's a sign of anything. That's all I want to say. So anyway, all right. That's what I have for you guys tonight. If you would like to, you can always go to my website, KirstenLiebelt.com, or you can put purple in the comments. You can't Instagram because it'll go away. You'd have to wait. Message me or do it after I post the video. But you can always put purple in the comments. I will come back and I'll get you some information. You can text the number on my website. Like I'm available so that people can get the answers that they need and try something that they want to try. Okay. Does that make sense? All right. If you guys have a really good night, and if you need anything else, you know where to find me, and I will chat with you very soon. Have a good night.